Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hello and welcome. I am Taylor. I share what's for dinner videos like this every Sunday to hopefully give you guys some meal ideas and some motivation to cook more for your family. I also share grocery hauls, day in the lives, what's for breakfast videos, all kinds of different things throughout the week. So make sure you hit that subscribe button down below if that interests you. And as always, any recipes that I mention will be linked down below. Now let's go ahead and get into this week's what's for dinner. It is Friday, and tonight we are doing something super easy for dinner. We are making chili mac, so mac and cheese with chili mixed in. So I'm making my Instant Pot mac and cheese. I've got 1 box of elbow noodles in there, 2 tablespoons of butter, and to that I'm going to add 4 cups of chicken broth, or I did 4 cups of water and mixed in 4 teaspoons of the Knorr chicken bouillon. So I'm going to dump that in there. I'm going to put a little bit of garlic powder, a little bit of Slap Your Mama, and some pepper. And then that is going to cook on manual high pressure for 5 minutes. And once it releases, we will add in some milk and some cheese and get our mac and cheese all nice and made. And then I have chili. I will leave my chili recipe down below. I have a whole video on that. But I made this back at the beginning of July and froze it in the Ziploc bag. I'm going to dump it in a bowl, heat it up in the microwave, and then once the mac and cheese is all done, I will add this in. I've got cheddar and some Parmesan and some more cheddar. I'm going to shred these, and that's the cheese that I'm going to use. But I'm going to go ahead and get my Instant Pot going. Okay, I'm having to restart my macaroni and cheese with a whole new box of noodles because here's a little tip that I usually do and I just forgot. Every time you use your Instant Pot, make sure you check your seal and make sure it's in there where it's supposed to be all around so that your food will cook properly and it'll come to pressure, because I set mine and didn't pay any attention to it and it did not come to pressure and it was cooking for forever. And I ended up with super soggy, mushy noodles on top and burnt to the bottom noodles on the bottom. So that's fun. We all make mistakes. So we are starting over with a new batch of noodles and a seal properly on my Instant Pot lid. Alright, there's the finished chili mac, and that is going to be dinner for Friday. For Saturday, I made a Stroganoff kind of recipe. I basically take my homemade hamburger helper beef pasta recipe and add sour cream to it. So I started off by browning 1 pound of ground beef with onion powder, garlic powder, rosemary, salt and pepper, a little bit of Worcestershire sauce, and some minced garlic because we like lots and lots of garlic. Once that was browned, I drained the grease and I added 5 cups of beef broth and half a bag of egg noodles. I made sure all the noodles were submerged in the liquid and then I brought that to a boil. Once it was boiling, I reduced the heat and added the lid and let it simmer for about 5 minutes until the noodles were done. Next, I stirred in some cornstarch mixed with water to thicken the sauce, and I added about half a cup of sour cream. And to go with our homemade hamburger helper stroganoff type thing, we've got peas and some buttered bread, because that's what we always had with hamburger helper growing up, was a can of peas and some buttered bread, and it's just a delicious like comfort meal. So those are the kids' plates, and this one is mine, and that is going to be dinner for Saturday. It is Sunday, and tonight for dinner I'm going to do some sheet pan fajitas, chicken fajitas. So in this bowl I have cut up some chicken. It was 2 large chicken breasts, and I just sliced it into like strips for like fajita meat. And then I'm gonna add in the juice of this lime, a little bit of olive oil, and some taco seasoning. You could also use fajita seasoning, but I don't have any. I'm gonna cut up this onion and put that in there. And then I have some red, orange, and yellow peppers that I'm also gonna put in there and let all that marinate together for a little bit. It's 5 o'clock, so I'm probably gonna let it like marinate in the fridge for about an hour. I'm just gonna get all that mixed together. Okay, my oven is preheated to 425. I'm going to take my meat and peppers and stuff that's been marinating, put it on my sheet pan. I've lined it with some parchment paper just to make cleanup easier. I'm going to spread this out on here and then bake it for probably 20 minutes. I'm going to check it at 20. If it's not done, give it another 5, just until my chicken is cooked through. To go with the fajitas, I made my new recipe for Mexican rice and it turned out amazing. All the measurements will be listed down below for you guys. So I started off by heating some oil in my Instant Pot on the saute function, and once that was hot, I added in 1.5 cups of rinsed white rice, and I cooked that for about 5 minutes until my rice started to turn golden. Then I added in some diced onion, some minced garlic, 1/4 cup of tomato paste, some salt, 1 teaspoon of chicken bouillon, 2 teaspoons of tomato bouillon, 1 teaspoon of chili powder, and 1.5 cups of water. I made sure that all that was mixed around nicely, and then I cooked this on manual for 5 minutes and let it do a natural release for 15. After the 15-minute natural release, I fluffed the rice and I added in some frozen peas and carrots. I suggest doing more than what I did. I realized I had like very little left in this bag, but I put the lid back on for 5 minutes and the heat from the rice kind of heated the veggies. Okay, dinner is done. Here is mine. I've got some of all the fajita stuff. I even cut up a tomato, and then I've got some cheese on the bottom, and the other one's the same, and then some rice. And the kids, I'm not sure if they're gonna like the peppers cooked, so I gave them one with peppers in it, one without. Lily didn't want any tomato, so that is their plates, and then we have some salsa and chips if we want it. But that is going to be dinner for Sunday. Tonight for dinner, we're going to have some baked barbecued pork chops. So in my little dish, I've got some boneless pork chops, and I'm going to season them on both sides with some garlic powder, onion powder, salt, and pepper. And then once I have that on there, I'm going to pour some of this barbecue sauce all over them. This isn't my favorite, but I had it in the fridge, and I didn't even realize it was in there, and I want to use it up so that it doesn't go to waste. So I'm going to pour probably about half of what's in there. So about half the bottle, I don't know. We're just gonna pour a bunch of that over top, and then my oven is preheated to 400, so these are gonna go in there for 15 to 20 minutes until they are cooked through. To go with our pork chops, I'm going to make some fried potatoes. So I've got 3 pretty decent sized potatoes here that I have washed. I'm just gonna dice them up into probably about 1/2 inch size pieces, and then we will get those frying in the pan. I've got my skillet here over medium heat, and I've heated up a couple tablespoons of some oil. To that, I'm going to add a couple teaspoons of minced garlic, and then I also have some leftover diced onion from yesterday. I wouldn't normally add onion to my fried potatoes. I know a lot of people do. It's just not something that I've ever really done because I haven't been a big onion person, but another thing that I don't want to go to waste. So I'm going to toss it in there, fry that up for a few minutes, and then I will add in my potatoes and some seasoning. Okay, here are our plates. These are the kids, and this one is mine. And to go with it, I just made a can of carrots, and I put like a little bit of maple syrup in there and a little bit of butter. And that is going to be our dinner for Monday. On Tuesday, I made some lemon butter shrimp. I started off by slicing 3 lemons. Then I laid those on my sheet pan and topped them with 1 pound of medium-sized shrimp. I poured on 1 stick of melted butter and seasoned that with the Badia Complete seasoning, and I baked this at 350 degrees for 10 minutes. If you use a bigger shrimp, it's going to take a little bit longer to cook. You just want to make sure that it's cooked all the way through. To go with the shrimp, I made a garlic Parmesan Orzo. I boiled half a box of Orzo, and then once it was done, I added in some butter, salt and pepper, Parmesan cheese, and parsley. I served the shrimp on top of the Orzo with a little bit of that butter sauce from the pan and then some zucchini on the side, and I'm pretty sure this was everyone's favorite meal this week. We all absolutely loved it. Okay, tonight for dinner I am making the steak and gravy casserole that I saw over on Shauna's channel, the Dickinson Homestead. So she marinated her meat in some Worcestershire and then just some salt and pepper. So that is what I'm going to do for a couple of hours. Okay, the steak and gravy casserole is going to have mashed potatoes on top. Shauna did like the pre-made like Bob Evans potatoes. You could do like instant mashed potatoes. I am making homemade mashed potatoes in my Instant Pot because it's super easy and I already had potatoes on hand. So I put a cup of water in the bottom, my trivet. I cut the potatoes into pretty big chunks and then I sprinkled them with some salt. And then I'm going to cook these on high for 10 minutes. Okay, I did a quick release. I'm going to use my tongs and pull the trivet out from underneath. We don't need to drain these. And then I will smash them, add some milk and some butter, probably some more salt and some pepper, and maybe even a little bit of garlic powder. Okay, I'm going to get started on cooking my steak. I will have the recipe video linked down below that Shauna did. She put mushrooms in hers, so if you were doing this like her, you would be cooking your mushrooms first, but if you've been here a while, you know we don't like mushrooms. So I've got 2 cups of flour here. I'm going to add to it some salt and some pepper and some Badia Complete seasoning and mix that all up, get it seasoned, and then I'm going to set aside about 2 to 3 tablespoons of it for making the gravy later. And then the rest of it I'm going to use to coat my steak. And I think I forgot to say what kind of meat this was earlier. This is some beef stew meat that we got at Sam's Club. She just used steak that she cut up into like the same size as the stew meat. So whatever kind of beef kind of steak kind of thing that you have will work. So I'm going to coat that with the flour and then cook it up in batches in some oil. So I've got a couple tablespoons of oil in here as well as a little bit of butter, because she cooked her mushrooms in butter and then removed the mushrooms and cooked the steak in the remaining butter and some oil. So I added a little bit of both since I'm not doing the mushroom step. So I'm just going to brown up all of my steak and then remove it from the pan so we can make our gravy. Once all the meat was browned and removed, I added in that flour that I had reserved earlier and just whisked that into the oil and let that brown up a little bit, and then I added in my milk to make my gravy. Once I had the gravy done, I added back in the steak, and I decided to use my kitchen scissors to kind of cut some of the bigger pieces into smaller pieces so that it would be a little bit easier to eat. And then I topped this with my mashed potatoes that I made earlier and put this in the oven. For the last 10 minutes of baking, I pulled it out, topped it with some cheese and some little French fried onions, and then put it back in there. This turned out so good. Please check out Shauna's video down below for exact measurements and everything. We absolutely love this, and we served it with some green beans on the side. Thursday's dinner was a super easy one. I just started off by browning up some chicken in some oil. This is chicken thighs, and I seasoned them with some garlic powder, onion powder, and salt and pepper. And I'm using this sauce that I got at Dollar Tree. It's the McCormick bourbon chicken sauce. So basically, I'm just following the directions on the back of the package. So once my chicken was mostly cooked through, I poured that sauce mixture over top and got everything stirred around. And then I just let this chicken simmer in the sauce until it was cooked completely through. I served this with some perfect white rice that I make in my Instant Pot. I will have the recipe for that linked down below, and some air fryer broccoli. And I was surprised this sauce was actually really good. I would definitely buy it again and make it again. I don't know if it was quite like bourbon chicken, but it was definitely a really good sauce. And that is going to wrap up this week's What's for Dinner. If you enjoyed it, please make sure you leave me a thumbs up. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!